that is our mission. Everything we do is to feed and advance that mission, being the counter movement to everything that is not hard work in society. We're going to defend the gate. Yep. You know, we're going to make sure that hard work is returned to the rank and respect that it once had.
Heck yeah.
in America.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business. But launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another incredible episode of the Fitness Franchise Podcast. And before I introduce today's guest, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So now today's guests, which I've been waiting so long for, two incredible guys, two dear friends, Joey Bowen and Drew Beech, who are the co-founders of Fuel Hunt, which is a fashion company, but more so a movement company, restoring the hard work and the dignity of hard work. Joey and Drew, welcome to the show, guys.
Happy to be here, Bryce.
Boom, so excited. We've been waiting for a few months, but welcome to the studio. We got a lot of content to cover, but before we do, why don't you tell us the backstory, starting with you first?
So my name is Joey. I'm co-founder of Fuel Hunt with Drew. My background is actually in technology.
Yeah.
So I went to school for computer programming. While I was in school, started my first business, which was a software development business. Worked a few years in the corporate world, with that being a side hustle. Took that full time. You know, and created a boutique software development firm in my early 20s. Sold that, and then went inside for the company that acquired it, and started seeing some trends, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit, in the corporate culture that led us to start Fuel Hunt, and here we are.
So we'll dive in, and Drew will get there in a second. It sounds like entrepreneurship is like cut from the DNA, like starting a company in your early 20s.
It is.
How'd that work out?
It went well. I learned a lot. I learned a lot that we applied for Fuel Hunt.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Wasn't perfect. Never is.
Yeah.
But I did learn a lot, and all of that knowledge came in handy for Fuel Hunt.
Cool. We'll get to that in a second. Drew.
Drew, also co-founder of Fuel Hunt with Joey. My first challenge I ever overcame in life was defeating obesity. So that's where
Which is crazy, by the way, because you would never know the super fit guy right here, but I've seen pictures, man. Good for you. So
Thank you. That was my first battle of adversity in my life. And then actually, all throughout my senior year in high school and college, I was always starting businesses, and actually Joey was a mentor for me.
Yeah.
So I was always calling him, like, yo, dude, I got this business idea. And he'd be like, try this, try that, try this. And he was helping me with websites and everything. And then eventually one day we connected at a family party again, because we're cousins by relation. And we were just talking about how the trends of society were going, and no one wanted to work for anything anymore. And we were like, we'll get into the story, but we ended up putting our slogan on a shirt, and we ended up here.
And now we're all stacked with all our slogans on the shirt, man, and their brand, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Drew, before we actually kind of dive into Fuel Hunt, because our audience is interested in fitness, interested in business, entrepreneurship, I actually want to talk about the obesity story for a second, because a lot of our audience are potentially going to be, training, people that are overweight, that are obese. So, like for you, you don't have to go through a huge rabbit hole, but what was, like, why were you obese? Like, what was your mentality, and then how did you get away from that?
It's funny, like, we all know this now, it's common knowledge, but back in the day I was starting my day with sugary cereals and just drinking soda all the time. Like, everyone was drinking soda in the 90s, you know what I mean? Like, literally it was with every meal, every snack, and I ended up peaking in high school, my sophomore year, like 265 pounds at
265?
Yeah, I was probably about 5'7". So my high school girlfriend broke up with me at that time, and I woke up one day and I was like, Mom, I don't want to be fat anymore. And she was like, eat chicken and run. And I couldn't really run because I was so heavy. And so I started riding my bike as much as I could. And then every day I would just 1% better every single day. And I literally just ate chicken and broccoli, which is, we know now our metabolism get accustomed to that, and food allergies or whatnot. But every day took action, and that's what I think people get lost in fitness and in business, is like everyone wants to have a grand plan all the time when you don't really need a plan. The well thought out plan, you just got to take action.
What would you say though to someone who's interested in potentially running a Fit Body Bootcamp as an example? Coaching cues or a mindset, like how to get someone like you, like what was the trigger point that really made you take action?
You got to develop that interpersonal connection with your customers and be like, what drives you? Like everyone has a reason they want to get fit, like maybe a low point in their lives, or they got made fun of at work, or they got made fun of at school. And it was a lot of that for me, and I just know it was at a rock bottom. But I feel like for someone that was running a Fit Body Bootcamp or coaching in a Fit Body Bootcamp, I would take the time to understand your customer and ask them, what is it that brings you here, and what's going to drive you or motivate you to show up every day? Because that's what we all need for everything. Like
developing that relationship, getting to know them at a granular level, and then figuring out what their why is, and then really attack
exactly.
The why. Yeah, I love it. Well, guys, I'm just fired up now to dive into the main event, and it's interesting when I was talking with our co-host B. He first kind of cued me up to your brand, Fuel Hunt. It took only about a few seconds to like him explain the sentence where I'm like, holy smokes, that is freaking awesome. Like I'm gravitated to that. It just fires me up. You can feel the passion. So I want to kind of tee this up and really give us the origin story. Now you have business experience. You guys are, related through, I guess, marriage. You had this idea for Fuel Hunt, and I guess story tell a little bit.
Yeah. So it's funny because you got it immediately, right? But in the beginning, it wasn't so apparent to everybody when we said our full mantra to them. Everybody wants to eat, but Fuel Hunt. They were kind
Say that again?
Everybody wants to eat, but Fuel Hunt. It wasn't all that apparent. Some people got it, some people didn't. Some people asked for clarification. So in the beginning, we were kind of doubting ourselves a little bit until we started to find people like you, driven, in personal development, that understood the true meaning of it, and it fired them up too. And that's who we now call the Few, which is our community.
The Few.
Yeah.
Even to this day, it's like people, we explained it to them, like, they're like, oh, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I'm in a company called Fuel Hunt. And they're like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, everybody wants to eat, but Fuel Hunt. And if they don't get it at first, I'm like, nah, I don't even bother.
You're not our tribe.
Exactly. I'm like, you're not one of us, dude. Like, well, keep
But in the beginning of the journey, that trips you up a little bit, right?
Totally.
Because, you have that mindset like, okay, we have to bring people into the community. How are we going to do that if people don't get it? But we were casting a very wide net, you know what I mean? And it took us a little while to find the Few, but we're glad we did.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, I was talking to B about the other day, and he's like, okay, if you want to grow an awesome brand, and we're chatting with him after this show, but be polarizing. And at the end of the day, you're going to have people that don't resonate with your message, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. Really, you want people that are resonating with their message, and that polarity actually attracts people in.
Yeah, that's where the fire, the strength is, for sure.
So how did the idea come to be? So, the message of the mantra is everyone wants to eat. And this is the way I read it, but Fuel Hunt, meaning like very few people are actually willing to do the work.
Yes.
Very few people are willing to get up at 4 o'clock and be like, you know what, let's dominate today.
Yep.
And as you can feel, like this is my mantra. Like I come from, Detroit, Michigan, right? Blue collar, right?
Sure.
Like gritty, and
Very
we're in
similar.
Philadelphia,
Very
like
similar.
6 months ago in the fall, and kind of talking about that mantra and that EOS, and that's what gets me fired up. So, elaborate a little bit about like the founding of it.
Yeah, I mean, we were both working full-time jobs. This was 2017, right?
Yep.
Earlier, we reconnected, at a family party, and we were talking about societal trends, things we were seeing in society, things we were seeing in the office, and we said, hey, look, every day at the end of the day, we're going to call each other on our commutes home. And, we're going to shoot the breeze, and, we'll talk a little business, we'll talk a little life, talk about what we're seeing in the office, help each other out.
Yeah.
And that is driving through the gritty streets of Philadelphia on the way home. So one day, I actually just blurted out the mantra. I said, we were commiserating a little bit about what we were seeing in the office, and I said, it's like what we say at my cabin. Everybody wants to eat, but few will hunt. I'm a hunter. I come from a lineage of hunters,
Like
hunters.
literal hunting, your family going in the woods, like hunting.
Yeah. So to the hunt, few will hunt is something that we would say at my family cabin during hunting season. Before we went
To the hunt, few the hunt, few will hunt.
to the hunt, or a few will hunt.
Okay.
They're phrases that we would use at my cabin during hunting season. And, I always thought that was very applicable to life and to business as well. And that day it just kind of came out. And Drew stopped me, and Drew was in sales in the apparel industry at the time. And he was like, let's put that on a shirt. And I said, let's do it. And that was the birth. That was the genesis.
I didn't say that cool. I was like, we got to get that on a fucking shirt. Dude. Like ASAP. Like, because I was like fired up, dude. I was like, damn. Like, because in sales, like the same thing. Like everybody, like, we got to make 100 cold calls to land one deal. Like, and everybody shies away from sales. But realistically, like, it's the highest paid profession in the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
So continue. So basically that's where the idea was born. And really, I mean, we'll talk about the gear, we'll talk about the apparel. I rep it, like the fits, the quality is like just, next level, which is incredible. And I think that's a big, component as well. But more so the way I understand, at least from, our friendship and relationship, instead of just an apparel company, it's a movement, it's a mantra. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, that first shirt, we didn't really expect to sell any of them. We created it for ourselves and for the people that were in our tribe at the moment, the handful of people. Yeah. And we set out to actually build a community of hard workers on Instagram. When we first created the community, we didn't set out to sell a bunch of apparel or be an apparel company or a lifestyle brand or anything like that. It was more about the community and the movement. So for probably almost 2 years, year and a half, we were writing long form content for Instagram to attract people to the community. And we said, we're feeling lonely out in this world. There's so few people that will get up and do the hard work. Let's bring them all together and see what'll happen. Let's be a counter movement to the entitlement that we were seeing in society and the shortcut mentality, the microwave mentality that we were seeing in society.
The microwave mentality, like symbolizing the shortcut, taking an easy street.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, just microwave the work and then the result comes out and then we're good to go.
Yep.
So we were so focused on bringing like-minded people together into that community that we weren't really focused on apparel. Then our community started to ask, I'd like to see that post on a shirt from Instagram, or why are your shirts always out of stock? Is because we had 24 of them, and we gave most of them out to our friends and family. So once our community members started to ask for apparel, then we started to get serious with it, and that was probably end of 2018.
So but when did you start? 2017, you said?
2017,
so it was about through the first year and a half, 2 years before it started kind of taking off.
Yep.
Well, because we were creating these shirts for ourselves, and we were like, we want the highest, like you said, quality comes first. Like, that's what we tell everybody: quality service, quality community, quality apparel all the time. Like, it's just quality. That's
huge, and I'm looking as obviously close friends with you guys, and now business partners, extended, but ultimately also as a customer, right? Like I'm a client of yours, and I love the message, I love the mantra. It speaks to me, but being very candid to your point, if the quality wasn't there, if it didn't fit good, if it didn't feel good, it would definitely take away from that. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to feel great when you wear it.
Totally.
Right. So if the threads make you feel great and the message makes you feel great, that's the winning combination right there.
There you go.
Perfect start to your day.
Yeah.
We'll continue on because I know, throughout the journey, you've been able to connect and partner with some really awesome people in a variety of worlds. So can you talk to that?
Yeah.
So basically what Joe was saying was we didn't really sell much at first because we were so focused on creating this community of hard workers that we were we didn't even think how could we make this our full-time job. We were literally burning the candle at both ends.
Completely just passion project.
Yeah, we were literally just hustling, dude. We printed these shirts and then we were creating the content, we were posting the pictures, getting pictures,
Which we were both high achievers in our day jobs.
Yeah.
And nothing against the 9 to 5, but we didn't work 9 to 5s. It was 24/7 with our day job. So Drew, we were burning the candle red hot at both ends.
And we sacrificed a lot in the beginning too, time with family, time with friends, And
it's an important message, especially for our entrepreneurship community, because to your point, the microwave mindset, and many people do, not all, but sometimes it just you see the success a few years down the road, and you're thinking, okay, that was just easy to get off the ground. But the fact of the matter is it takes grit, it takes grind, it takes hustle.
Oh yeah.
And that's basically the story of how this is born.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So then eventually we were having one of our phone calls one day driving home from our jobs, and then we were getting a little frustrated because things were hard. We weren't selling anything because we weren't really
There was no selling environment.
Yeah, weren't really asking for people to buy stuff. So we're like, dude, why are we not like selling these shirts? We're never able to make this our full-time jobs or our lives if we don't have income.
Sure.
Like, I mean, it's just business 101.
I mean, sales is
Yeah.
a change. So.
Right.
So Joey's like, dude, do we have a blog or a business? And I was like, damn, like that's a good question. Like, because we literally just have all this content, all this value we're providing through our, we're literally just putting our thoughts on the paper every day, spewing our hearts onto these Instagram posts and blog posts, and not seeing anything in return. So then we were like, all right, we got to switch things up. And then we started to actually market our tees, our high quality apparel, our high quality banners. And then the cash register started ringing because we're like, wow, like people actually want this stuff. We just have to tell them that it's there.
Well, let's unpack that for a second, especially for audience. Like when you said, okay, you went from like, I guess it's a blog or it's a business, and then the light bulb switched, and now you're going to market this stuff. Like, what were those action steps from a granular perspective?
I think, like, you know, the first thing, very simply, is we let the community know that we had things for them. We didn't even do that.
So
and I know it sounds super obvious.
Ask for the sale.
It sounds super obvious, but when we did tell them, exactly, create the selling environment, ask for the sale. When we did tell them, we got a lot of responses, hey, I never knew you had anything. We didn't know you had t-shirts and stickers and banners. We had no clue. Meanwhile, we're thinking, well, it's on our website. Our website's in our bio. You didn't check it.
Yeah.
But, you know, we asking for the sale, creating that selling environment was the first simple step. And then after that, dare I say the word, I don't want to say it was easy, but we had already, without knowing it, laid the groundwork to do right by our community members that will now be our customers because of our high quality goods.
Because you built like a distribution channel, and then ultimately you're giving value. And if you've read the book by Gary Vaynerchuk, like Jab Jab Right Hook, I think is the title. You're throwing jabs out, giving value, and then from there, in the right hook, you ask for the sale, and that's where the traction started happening.
Literally, what I was about to say is that we were so relentlessly focused on providing value to our customers or our community that we never thought to right hook ever. Yep. And I would say that's something we've learned from business. It's just you have to provide value relentlessly, and then ask them to buy something.
But both are needed.
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
to
market. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's in our nature. That's the type of guys we are. So, like I said, the groundwork was already there. When we started asking for the sale, we had everything there.
Yeah, we were already providing the value.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting because a lot of times people actually do the opposite.
Exactly.
They come out of the gates like asking, buy my stuff, buy my stuff.
Why?
And that's not going to work either. You actually need the perfect combination of both.
And that was the thing. Like we knew we're smart guys. You know, we knew that we would have to ask for a sale or create a selling environment, but we were just so hyper focused, laser focused on providing value that we missed it.
Yeah.
You know, but we're glad we did.
For how long?
That was
a year or two.
Yeah, till the end of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so two full years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by that time we already had several thousand members in the community. So you know, we had a community that was ready. You know, they loved our stuff. They loved our lifestyle. They loved the way, you know, our minds worked when they saw what we were saying and giving them on Instagram to add value to their lives. So when the threads came out, it was like, let's do this. You know, they were ready.
Totally. And I think, you know, kind of curtailing that to our audience and something that we teach at Fit Body Bootcamp is, you know, the email content you guys write, like add value, you know, teaching tips on health, nutrition, etc. Like constantly give value, but there always should be that kind of hook at the end, like, oh, here's the offer. And if you build that pent up demand, then, you know, when you do ask for the sale, good things happen.
Exactly.
Cool. So continue on. You talked about the community. You had thousands of people in, and maybe I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but you've brought in some really cool people to your community. I'm curious, that was intentionality, a little bit of focus, a little bit of luck, and I'm curious on the strategy on how this all came to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've been true to who we are from the very beginning, and I think it attracted the right people. Philly right now, if you're alluding to maybe some of the fighters. Philly right now is a hotbed of fighting talent. You know, it's a fighting town, but we have some incredible mixed martial arts fighters in Philly right now, and they really resonated with our mindset and the Fuel Hunt lifestyle. and going to war every day, going to hunt every day for the results or the trophy that you won. So they naturally came into the community, and it was great to have them. And once they were there, then they started asking for fight wear.
Yeah.
So they said, hey, look, I love your hunt tee. I love your pain tee. What about rash guards? What about contact sets? What about boxing gloves? And when they ask you, you listen.
So that was feedback specifically from your audience. You built the tribe, you built the EOS, you built the mantra, you put stuff out to market, you finally started asking, for the sale. And then what you're saying is you attracted these people into your network, the fighters, like the people that with influence. And then they started asking or telling you what they wanted, and therefore you just had to listen and then execute.
Exactly.
It's speaking of that fight wear and the mixed martial arts, like we didn't even realize that organically we were developing this jiu-jitsu mixed martial arts community, because the people in BJJ, MMA, Muay Thai are typically committed to a life of like discipline. Like they show up every day, they humble and they get humbled, and they were waiting just for us to put our mantras, our designs on the rash guards. And so we set out and we were like, we're going to develop the highest quality rash guard in the game. And that's what we did, and people are getting our rash guards now, and they're like, wow, you guys just started making rash guards, and they're literally better than any rash guard I had. And we're like, well, that's because we literally focus on apparel, or high-quality apparel. But we'll take the hit on the margins just to do the highest quality product. Like, we may not start with a million SKUs, but we're going to provide you with the best quality gear.
Quality.
Yeah.
It's
Lead with that.
Always been value first, always. And it will continue to be that way.
Yeah.
Because we knew from our very first shirt that we were like, if the first person that buys this shirt gets it and puts it on their back and they're like, wow, this is a really fucking nice shirt, and they're going to buy more or tell their friends.
Totally. So kind of continue to walk us through the growth. And obviously you've had to have growing pains. You're probably still going through growing pains. Like that's just the nature of the beast. But I'm curious if you could just kind of, walk us through current day, where you're at right now, like some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced or currently going through. And that way you can kind of provide some insight to our audience who are interested in business, and they're going to be going through similar challenges as you.
Sure, yeah. So 2018, the end of 2018, selling environment was created, right? We started moving some units. 2019 went really hard into development of apparel, not just t-shirts, but accessories, pants, things like that. 2020, unique set of circumstances happened in the world, right? And caused a bunch of challenges for us.
We were nervous.
Very nervous. Because we had just started to gain
our production
traction.
was shut down for 2 weeks, and we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like,
yeah.
Like in your manufacturing plant.
Yeah, exactly. So
well, that was the 2 week kind of.
That was the. Let's flatten it.
How long did it last for you guys?
Is it still lasting? It's still lasting a little bit.
Just on the line and stuff like that, people getting too close together. People, one person goes down.
Off.
One person goes down. 10 people have to go out.
Yeah, but 2020, like I said, unique set of circumstances.
Yeah.
We were nervous because we had just started to gain traction, and then this happens. Manufactured or otherwise, it happens, and we said, you know what, F it, we're going to double down.
Yep.
So we hired our first marketer for paid social media, for paid advertising and social media advertising at that time, and we're talking like April of 2020, when everybody is pulling back. We're like,
let's go.
Fuck it, let's go. And we didn't have a huge war chest. I mean, we're still working full-time jobs.
Self-funding.
We're self-funding it.
I meant to say that earlier is when like those things were hard, we were already sacrificing so much of our own personal funds. Like every paycheck was going into
this.
The
This
business.
isn't we had a bag of money sitting around and we decided to do something with it. This is like, okay, like what can we afford to invest this week, this month? So in 2020 we said we're going to bring on someone, a traffic buyer, essentially, and we're going to have a run at this, even with manufacturing being compromised, and us not being able to get a lot of product in or produce a lot of product. We said, let's go. And it was the best decision we ever made because everybody was pulling back, and it made space for us. So we came out of the gate hot with a lot of great content, great ads to grow our audience and our community. And 2020 was a hockey stick of a year for us. Hockey stick.
Hell yeah.
And also, the first chance we could, when production opened up, we did our first investment of like 5,000 pieces. Like, it was our biggest purchase ever of product, because we were like, we got to get the margins right now. Like, we have to figure out how to scale this thing if we're going to invest in paid advertising.
Yep.
So we bought 5,000 units of our top selling shirts.
Yep.
Now, in hindsight, and like a good message to the audience, what was your biggest learning lesson through that 2020 stretch when like everything was contracting, you guys doubled down? Like, what would be a golden nugget or two that you could provide the audience from a business context?
Yeah, I would say, definitely do your research, but don't operate from a place of fear. Don't do it, because if we did at that time operate from a place of fear and scarcity, just like everybody else was doing, we would have missed our shot, I think.
Yep.
We wouldn't have had that hockey stick year, and that hockey stick year brought us together and there was a lot of things outside of just the growth of the business that came from not operating from a place of fear.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, just abundance mindset always, even in life and business. Like, if you're always operating from a position of abundance and you're willing to give first, like one of our core values, then things just start to fall into place and go right.
Yeah.
How do you develop that though? From is that organic? Is that something that was just innate in you guys? And it might be a dumb question, but it's interesting to say the least, and I think it'd be valuable from your perspective.
Yeah, I think for me, early on, I learned to let go of what I couldn't control, and that kind of subdued fear, because I said, okay, look, I can, in a course of a day, 100 things are going to happen. I can control 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm going to
Focus
put my
on that.
focus, right? And with my focus and energy there, the fear just melted away, and that helped me take risks, not just with Fuel Hunt, but in my career before Fuel Hunt.
And take action. It's interesting. I'm a huge believer in Stoic philosophy, and Stoic, there's a lot of components to it, but really one of the core tenets is, all right, there's a lot of stuff in the world you can't control. Do not focus on that. That's going to give you an anxiety. Focus on what you can control, take action, and actually action alleviates anxiety.
Yep.
I love that.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Or control your reaction to things, really.
Yeah.
That's what you can control.
Yep. Yeah, so 2020, hockey stick year, and great growth after that, continued to present day, and we've got a lot of valuable relationships with fighters, and the community is growing like wildfire.
Rapidly.
Like wildfire.
What would you say, like from a tactical perspective, and again, just giving our audience some knowledge bombs, like what are the 1 or 2 things, strategic things that you're doing right now that's creating that growth, creating that traction, creating that stickiness in the brand?
I think, like you said, be polarizing is huge. Like, you have to have a strong message and brand concept. I mean, if we didn't have the few or our strong mantra behind every single thing we do, like every product we have relates back to our mantra and our mission. Like, if you have a strong mission or a strong why surrounding your product or your company, then you'll be able to market it well. But people just go out and they're like, oh, I'm going to create a brand, here's my logo. But realistically, what does your logo even mean to your brand? What is that? Exactly. Yeah. But it's real fun, and this was one of the posts we did a while back when times were hard, because I was like, everyone has a lot of fun making their new Instagram page, getting their business name, getting their logo done, posting, I started a business, right?
It's all the exciting stuff.
Yep. That's the best time. Like, you are hype and you're ready to go, but then the sales aren't coming in, and you're like, I'm not selling anything, like, this is hard. And that's why you see everyone and their mom is starting business nowadays, like, but you just see the people that, like, oh, their Instagram page goes down, or they haven't posted about it in a while, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, because it's just hard, it's not for everybody.
Because that's when it starts getting boring, but that's actually where the success actually takes hold.
Yeah, exactly.
And people think, like, our days are like glamour, that we're out shaking hands and kissing babies all the time. Realistically, most of our days are spent behind a computer.
Dude, I was just literally on a mastermind
Grinding.
call today. I'm like, with my team, or with our owners, I'm like, my life is actually pretty boring.
Yeah.
Literally, like, very routine, same stuff every single day, but that is actually what creates growth and success.
Compounds.
Exactly. And that's
compounds.
my piece of advice, I would say. Show up every day with your hammer ready to swing it. And like, that's all we did. Like, people ask, like, oh, what'd you do? I was like, the secret to success. I was like, dude, we just fucking showed up every day and hammered away when the shit wasn't working. Yeah. Like, it might not seem like the nails ever gonna go into the fucking piece of wood, but eventually it does.
Yeah.
If you're doing if you're swinging the hammer right, that is.
If you've heard like the stonecutter's credo, it says you're chipping away at the stone, you're chipping away, and every chip, it just looks like the same chip, but one swing is going to break the whole stone down, and that's essentially what we do to come to the breakthroughs that we've came to over the years.
The key component to that, though, is making sure you're swinging the hammer correctly. Like,
Yeah.
you could be doing all the wrong things, like you said. Like,
Yeah.
if you're taking the wrong action, then you're just never going to get anywhere.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm curious to leave our audience with the vision of kind of what's next. Before I had one note because you guys were in Vegas, or you specifically, Joey, which looked awesome. I clearly
amazing.
wasn't there.
That was amazing.
But can you just color in the details for our audience of your Vegas experience? I think December, right?
It was December, yeah. It was absolutely surreal. So we were a title sponsor for the World MMA Awards, which was absolutely amazing. Seeing our logo along with True Lean and Battle Ready in lights on the stage with the literally the top fighters in the world. It was an amazing experience. Seeing the whole show broadcast on CBS and ESPN and the Fuel Hunt Eagle.
Yeah.
Up in lights like that.
Yeah.
Thinking back to 2017 to that moment, it was surreal, amazing, absolutely amazing. And got to meet even more fighters there, and build some more relationships, and get ingrained into the sport a little bit more.
Heck
So
yeah,
big
man.
things coming.
Good on you guys. Like watching the show, I was like, dude, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I was pumped.
The only word I can use to describe is really like surreal. Like it felt like an out of body experience. Like, is this really happening
I can only
right
imagine.
now? Seeing the Fuel Hunt Eagle there.
And especially after the grind, that hard work, and you guys are still just scratching the surface. Like,
Exactly.
you're gonna look back in a decade and be like, "Holy smokes!"
Yeah.
But even that kind of like highlight moment, certainly gives you more fuel to continue on.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
One point you mentioned about the Fuel Hunt Eagle. Can you show a little bit of or give a little insight on the symbol and why the eagle is what it is?
Sure. Obviously, the obvious thing is for America. It's a piece of Americana, right? The bald eagle. Also, the qualities that the eagle has, the ability to fly alone,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
right? The ability to fly high and fly alone if it needs to, away from the crowd, maybe polarizing, right? Skilled hunter, adept hunter, which lines up with our mantra.
The mantra, yeah.
Yep. Great vision, right, which is key in life and business. So there's a lot of aspects of the eagle that really just fired us up when we because we were looking for an animal. When we looked for an animal that lined up with the Fuel Hunt lifestyle, it was the eagle.
Yeah.
So I was kidding with Drew last week. We're looking at a larger warehouse. And,
In Philly?
In Philly, yeah. In the gritty streets of Philly. It's going to be a beautiful HQ in gritty streets of Philly. But I was messing with him last week, and I said, we're going to get this warehouse. Just give me like 6 months, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to have a bald eagle. They're endangered and protected, but I'm going to have one, and I'm going to walk in with it.
We got like a pet eagle that sits on like one of them little.
I'm going to be like
awesome.
I'll have the glove, the whole nine.
That's awesome.
But-
Heck yeah. All right. Well, last question before we go into the hot seat. Where do we go from here? Like, what's your vision for Fuel Hunt? And I'm sure there's some big takeaways from a business perspective for our audience in terms of casting the vision and kind of hitting that. But I'm curious on, what does the next 1 to 2 years look like?
One thing that we didn't mention is, just really our overall mission of restoring the dignity of hard work.
You touched on that, but I'm glad you hit that hard.
Yeah. So, that is our mission. Everything we do is to feed and advance that mission. And like I said earlier, being the counter movement to everything that is not hard work in society. We're going to defend the gate. We're going to make sure that hard work is returned to the rank and respect that it once had.
Heck yeah.
in America. So that's the overall vision. And we're going to make some dope-ass apparel while we do that, because that's one of the ways that we can advance the mission, spread the lifestyle, grow the movement. But that's the overall mission.
Yeah, you got a big fan in me in this, because I just look at it, and we're cut from the same cloth. You look at this, and there's something just so unfortunately unique about hard work, but it's just like fundamental to success, fundamental to life, fundamental to fulfillment and happiness. And that's why when I hear this mantra, I just get so jacked up, and it's just easy to see. And again, this is a lesson to our audience, is like, be polarizing, stand for something, like plant your flag on it. And you're going to have people that, go away, but you're going to have a ton of people that just become your raving fans.
Sure, absolutely. And it wasn't always that way. That's why it's restore the dignity of hard work, not bring dignity to hard work. It didn't used to be that way.
Right.
Hard work wasn't, it didn't used to be unique.
Right.
And it built this country, and it built a lot of the roads and paths that we all walk comfortably nowadays.
Heck yeah.
You know, and it's time to bring it back and restore it to the rank and respect it deserves.
I was gonna say our vision is 1 million hard workers at least. Like that's our next step.
Yeah, 1 million hard workers in the community.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
But as far as what you can expect next from us is we are developing more cut and sew pieces. So we've learned that a lot of our pieces are very loud and you wear them on your back, it's like your battle flag for the day. But there might be some instances where comfort is a slow death, prefer pain isn't the best suited for the event. So we're working on some more subtle embellishments, some more everyday wear that you might be able to wear to the office if you can't wear it here.
Yeah.
I still wear it to the office,
Yeah.
but I
It's a special
also
office.
understand that.
Special office, but
Yeah.
so yeah, more everyday cut and sew wear, and working on building on our fightwear line as well with more gis we're actually getting into. So
Yeah.
Keys and some equipment, high-end equipment.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know me, my brand is Fit Body, but my second brand is Fuel Hunt. Like I feel like I'm in Fit Body Boot Camp. You can
Thank
find me
you.
at Fit Body or Fuel Hunt. That's really my wardrobe
Thank
these
you.
days. So
Thank you.
love
Appreciate it.
Love the vision, and that's again a huge accolade to you both, but also just a learning lesson. You know, and a point that I really want to drive home for our audience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right, boys, let's transition to the lightning round. You've been gracious with your time, flying in from the other side of the country before our next meeting here. But first question, we'll just kind of go left to right. But passion, you guys are both passionate, people. What would you say is your biggest passion today and why?
I was right now, present moment, jiu-jitsu, I would say. Very passionate about that, and would have never entered my sphere if it wasn't for Fuel Hunt.
Yep.
So I'm grateful for Fuel Hunt introducing me, and the fighters in the community. Shout out to the Dawkins brothers. Shout out to Sean Brady for introducing me to jiu-jitsu.
Heck yeah. Drew, what about you?
Joey took BJJ from me, so I would say my zone of use right now would be longevity. I do a lot of research and reading on it, but also circles back to the whole having a strong why or a strong purpose. Once my son was born and I got married to my wife, things really got put into perspective for me, and I was like, wow, I have to be here as long as possible for these to lead my family. So I've really gotten addicted even to longevity. So
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. Next up, Zone of Genius. And it's interesting, you guys bring a unique combo and certainly have strengths, weaknesses just like anyone, but what would you say is your Zone of Genius?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that I always thought my zone of genius was one thing, but in the past few months, I found that I believe it's copywriting.
Dude, do you write the email content?
I do.
I send you emails I'm impressed.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that. I would say that right now that's the way that I can, or I add, outside of product design, the most value to the community.
Yeah.
And I will call it my zone of genius.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
I would say right now, having done Fuel Hunt, I always thought it was sales and marketing, but now I'd say it's leadership and people. Most of my days spent coordinating with our team and making sure things are going smoothly in production. Mm-hmm. But that is new for me. We started reading leadership at my old company, but I wasn't really in a leadership position. It was really in a high-grossing sales position.
Yep.
But now I'm addicted, or even, I keep saying that word, but
That's okay.
It's a fair word.
Yeah, fair word.
Fair
Kindred
word.
spirits over here.
yeah, exactly, leadership.
That's awesome, man. Next up, and I think this really question is really important for our audience, especially you guys have created an incredible startup and grown it here over the last handful of years. But what would you say is a unique value bomb that probably most entrepreneurs should know when they're creating a startup, but maybe they don't?
So is value bomb positioned around entrepreneurship and business?
Yeah.
I would say cash flow is king. Rather not cash is king, but cash flow is king.
Cash flow is king.
Yeah.
Blood of the business. Blood of the
Yeah.
business.
We learned that not the hard way, the hardest way, but we learned it when things got tight over the years.
How about you, John?
I would say keep it simple. And I know that that may be probably a bit hard to hear because business is complicated. But if you focus on too many things at once, you get nowhere.
Yeah.
So keep it simple.
Yeah.
Focus on one thing at a time. Most of the momentum that we built over the years was from agreeing on one thing that we were each going to do every day to advance the mission to grow the community. We kept it simple. So, as you get larger, you'll be able to scale, and then you have more people to worry about, focus on one thing. In the beginning, it's difficult, but do your best. Chase too many shiny objects, you get nowhere.
Yeah, and that's important. I mean, all entrepreneurs cut from the same cloth.
Yep.
We all have that temptation, but
Yeah.
easier said than done, but important.
Yeah.
Simple scales.
Yep.
Simple scales.
Yeah.
Simple scales. I haven't heard that, but I love that. All right, Drew, I'm looking at you, and I'm actually going to ask a two-part question, okay? And we'll do it back to back. What would you say is the lowest? It could be entrepreneurial moment, or even life moment of your life. How'd you overcome it? And the flip side, what's your proudest accomplishment?
Lowest has to be either the day I woke up and I realized I was just extremely out of shape and overweight.
Yeah.
But in business, I would say those days I alluded back to when sales weren't coming in and I was feeling almost hopeless that we were never going to be able to make the jump from our day jobs that were sucking the energy and life out of us into the job of Fuel Hunt and leading that mission. And I was like, I wasn't ready to give up, but I was like questioning everything in life. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, is it even worth it? I'm sacrificing time with my son, my wife. Like, but like Joe and I would say, like, we were going to die on the sword. So like, either we were going down with the ship or the ship.
Yeah.
That's it. One option.
That's
Exactly.
it. Yeah,
Exactly.
that was it.
Burn the boats.
That was basically it. Yeah.
I would say the proudest moment of my life, other than the birth of my son, would be finally quitting that job and my first day as a full-time co-founder of Fuel Hunt and leading the mission.
And it's interesting. I mean, and we don't have time to go through the details of the job, but whether it was actually like a really bad job or you just had something burning passion.
Exactly.
That's
It was probably more
it is.
than that. And I think that's the lesson.
exactly.
Okay, it's nothing against the job. It's nothing against the 9 to 5.
Yep.
It's if you know you are cut from a different cloth. If you know you are like something's burning inside you, are meant for something more. Like no matter what the job is, it's not going to be sufficient until you take action.
Exactly.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, the job was honestly great. I always said if I didn't have this burning desire to go do my own thing and like carve my own path and lead my team and my mission and our vision to the promised land, I would have stayed there forever. But because I had that strong burning desire on the other end, it was sucking the life out of me, having to spend so many hours doing other things.
Yeah.
Dude, and that's the message of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Love that. How about you, Joe?
It's pretty much the same story. As uninteresting as that may be, since you just heard it, but pretty much the same story. There were some low moments in the beginning when we were both, were working full time and trying to grow Fuel Hunt. Two that I can think of. I am not a quitter. That is one thing that I am not. But I remember two distinct moments where I was like, I need to make a decision here. I can't do both. I have this fire burning inside of me for Fuel Hunt, but I also have, a team that I love and I need to serve at my other, at my day job that I'm committed to. So there were some low moments there, and I think again the proudest moment is the day that, and it came for you a little earlier. I think that it came for me, the day that I said, "This is it. I'm going to make the jump." And I'm going to be full-time Fuel Hunt. And we're going to restore the dignity of hard work, which is a new feeling. I felt like a new man.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Liberating.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, boys, I got two more questions for you.
Fire.
Leaders are readers, and I share in that mantra and interest. So, Drew, I'm looking at you first. What would you say is a great? It could be a book or a great piece of content that's really bettered your lot in life that you can share with our audience.
The book, I tell two books. I mean, I'm not going to take
Yeah,
Joey's.
right.
Joey put me on that one. That one's a life changer. But this one might be a little different for our, like you might expect like an extreme ownership or like Can't Hurt Me from us. But the first book I ever read that really changed my life was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Dude.
Yep.
Well, that was the first personal development book I ever read. And I was like, I gotta figure something out. But that was it for me. So I would say that was literally the book that changed my life.
Heck yeah, man. That was one of my early books too.
Yeah,
so.
that's funny.
Yeah. 12 Pillars by Jim Rohn. I don't know if you're. I know
of Jim Rohn clearly.
Yeah,
but 12 Pillars.
He's the GOAT. Yeah. 12 Pillars. It's a
Like 12 Pillars of Success, or just 12 Pillars?
It's just called 12 Pillars.
Okay.
They are the 12 Pillars of Success.
Okay.
It's a fictional story. It's a short book, fictional story that has rooted in foundational advice for success in life and business, but it's told through a fictional story. Short book, you can read it front to back in one night. Changed my life. We used to put copies of it in some of the Fuel Hunt orders.
Yeah.
We just bought a ton of them. Just put them in
Dude,
orders.
that's wild.
Just
I'm
get
going to read that this week. I
Yeah.
actually had never,
Yeah.
Jim Rohn's a legend, obviously, but hadn't heard of his book.
It's 12 Pillars.
That's a great
12
read.
Pillars. It's great.
We just bought it for the team. When you're onboarding, if you want, like,
You have to read it.
That's the curriculum.
Whether you're just starting your personal development journey or you're decades into it, the book is valuable.
Yeah.
So highly recommended.
There you go, friends. All right, guys, last question. And again, our audience, fitness, business, entrepreneurship, personal growth mindset. What would be a parting piece of wisdom, from your extensive knowledge and success that will help them on their journey? Drew, for you first.
My favorite personal quote is, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if things in your business or your life are starting to fall apart in one area, they're probably going to start turning around in another area. So if it starts with making the bed in the morning, or doing that extra rep at the gym, or even showing up at the gym, or putting in that extra hour of work, like, do it. Because if you're not willing to put it in there, then you're not willing to put it in here. So that is my favorite quote. And I think to myself when I either bend down to pick up a piece of trash on the ground. You know what I mean?
Love that.
That's it for me.
Love that.
Yeah.
Joy.
Can I give you two? Can I break I'm a rule breaker.
Two it is. That's it, man.
I'm a rule
That's
breaker.
it. Let's go.
The first one actually is from 12 Pillars, and it's the brevity of life is its greatest surprise. So I feel that, a lot of us get caught up in the surprises of everyday life, the wins, the losses, the successes, the failures, the life ambushes. But how short life is actually its biggest surprise. And I think that a lot of people, going back to some of the Stoic philosophies that you mentioned earlier, that's the last thing that people think of. So,
But in Stoicism, it's like the thing that you always have to, and I don't have it with me, but it's memento mori, remember your mortality.
Exactly. So always keep that front and center, because if you think you have time, you don't.
You don't.
So that's the literary piece of advice. The second piece of advice is from my dad, and it's probably maybe a little crude, following up with the literary piece, but it's he said it to me when I was a kid, and it's funny, and it stuck with me, and it is shit or get off the pot. So that, we didn't do much cursing in my household when I was growing up, so when he said it to me, he was teaching me how to ride a dirt bike or something when I was a young kid. And it stuck with me because I thought to myself, like, I need to make a move or move on. And it kind of dovetails into the brevity of life as well, with, don't focus on the things you can't control. Life is short. Make a move or move on. If you can control it, focus on it. If you can't, release it.
Sage wisdom, my friends. That was freaking awesome. Mic drop.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this was awesome. This definitely delivered the value. I know we've been waiting for that for a while.
Thank you so much.
We try.
Man. Thank you so much
Appreciate you
for
guys
having
being
us.
in studio, and appreciate you guys being friends, and I'll hit that in a second. But before we wrap, where can our audience connect with you at?
Yeah, best place is fuelhunt.com, or on Instagram at fuelhunt. Come join the community. World's largest community of hard workers, growing every day. Join the few.
Yeah.
Join the few. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to take a quick second just to acknowledge you, man. Holy smokes, like, it's been a blessing to be introduced over a year, and it will just continue. I love everything that you stand for, like your DNA, your foundation, just who you are as people, your movement. Like, I'm one of your biggest raving fans on what you're doing. Your message speaks to me, and I just want to acknowledge you for showing up and for restoring the dignity and hard work. So I appreciate you guys being on the show.
This is just the beginning.
We love you back, dude.
Just the beginning. All right, my friends. Well, I know you got a ton of value. Assuming that you did, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and write us an incredible review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So that's all. We'll see you next episode. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Dude.
Boom.